There are only a few places in the Philippines that can potentially give you a glimpse of what the country was before it endured the many waves of colonization. In the end, it has made us who we are today. It's not something you can surgically remove, but deep down we all wonder, what was it like? As you make your way back to your big cities through the snaking roads of the Cordilleras, you'll be left wondering if one day, maybe you could live here, in touch with yourself, in line with nature, thriving as was originally intended.
I've traveled the country extensively. I was born here, yet when I come to places like this, I can't help but feel grateful. Because of our colonized past and because of how our development has happened, which sometimes happened way too quickly, we've architecturally kind of lost touch with our traditions and our cultures. So when you find a little barangay like this that just feels so authentic and so connected to its roots and grounded in its culture, it just makes you really happy with kids running around and everything. And the stories that we found here in this barangay in Pasil have been absolutely amazing, and I can't wait for you guys to hear all of them. When people talk about Kalinga, we mostly talk about a really famous tattoo artist, but we were looking for more stories to tell. So this is the story of Pasil, Kalinga.
Bounded by Balbalan on the north, Tinglayan on the south, Tabuk on the east, and the province of Abra and Mountain Province on the west, Pasil sits unassumingly within a valley. Unlike most villages in Kalinga, Pasil is perched atop a cliff-bound mountain, but within a much larger valley. It's breathtaking, and its people live and breathe their connection to nature. As with every visit I've made to the Cordilleras, I instantly felt at home in Pasil. So if you're like me, feeling a bit worn down by the grind, this is a journey worth taking. We chanced upon two women who were foraging ingredients for their meals for that day. They gathered native ampalaya leaves, black beans, pigeon peas, taong leaves, heirloom chong ak rice, wild orchids, and more. Their sustenance comes from whatever grows in the mountains, information and knowledge that has been passed down for generations. Unlike other areas in the country, people here still try and practice everything their forefathers taught them.
Naka-close up on office ka? Dapat tayo sa ayusan at sila interview.
Slow food community is a group of the indigenous people who are preserving their traditional food system. They preserve the food they are eating, the food of our ancestors, and they are organized. Slow food community Pasil. The first slow food community in the Philippines published in 2019. Slow food is an international organization of a movement of people who are preserving the ecosystem, the biodiversity. Kasi yung mga parents namin ang talagang itinuro na nila sa amin ay yung mga pagkain, yung mga traditional practices sa farming, tinuturo nila yung mga gawain. Kaya yung practices ng mga parents namin, ituturo din namin sa mga anak namin. Lahat ng mga household ay nagtatanim ng heirloom seeds, heirloom rice, legumes, tapos yung mga kultura, yung kultura natin na kailangan na respeto kasi kailangan na malaman yung mga new generation yung kultura namin na hindi ka basta-basta kukuha din ng gamit ng iba. Kultura namin respetuhin ang mga tao, respetuhin ang mas matanda sa'yo. Yung advocacy namin sa slow food ay lahat ay embed sa aming kultura. Kasi noon pa nakatali na sa kultura namin. Ngayon lang na may pangalan na slow food kasi movement yan.
Ang tawag po namin dito ay inandila. Ang inandila po ay pinaka-rice cake po namin dito sa Kalinga. Pag may mga okasyon, ito ang ino-order nila. Bestseller po ito sa Kalinga. Gawa po ito sa red glutinous rice na organic po siya. Ang tawag po namin dito ay taong. Yung taong po sa amin, yung wild orchids po to, na may bulaklak na pula, ay puti po, puti. Di pala pula. Nakukuha po ito dyan sa bundok.
Bakit po dyan yung binabalot, hindi sa saging? Yung kadalasan saging.
Sa saging kasi, pag binabalot, hindi pumikit yung latik. Ito, di ba magaspang to? Kaya mabilis kumapit yung latik dito. Kaya yun ang pagkakaiba. Pag inaano mo kasi yung saging, yung latik niya mahuhulog. Ito, mabilis kumapit yung latik.
Galing Okay. O pagkatapos pong ibalot, ano po susunod na gagawin?
Ilalagay sa i-steam po. I-steam na po. Ilagay ko sa lagyan ng tubig.
Ma'am Phoebe, ilang oras siya papakuluan?
30 minutes po, sir.
Mabilis lang pala.
Sugar. Salt. Little salt. Yung sinaunang tao dito, kasi ito naman yung pinaka cake nila dito sa Kalinga. Latik po. Okay na yan. Hintayin natin kumulo. Ayan, pwede na to.
Parang as a resource person.
Ayan. Tapos spoon. We do like this.
Ma'am, ganyan talaga siya piniprepare, no?
Oo, ganito talaga.
Kahit po yung mga ninuno po, ganyan din ang turo.
Oo. Kasi nakikita namin ang ginagawa nila. Ginagawa din namin. Kaming mga taga-slow food, lahat na ginagawa namin to lahat. Kailangang alamin namin. With love. With love.
Okay, let me try this. I've been so excited. So if I look kind of like out of it, it's because I'm in jet lag. A day ago, I was in Canada. Now I'm in Kalinga. Sounds the same. And I haven't eaten all day. Just landed, took a really kind of interesting, twisty, turny car ride here where I was close to vomiting a few times. That was fun. But yeah, I saw how everything was being prepared and I just could not wait to get my hands on this. Let's try it. I did try the latte a while ago. So what I found very distinct about it, it has such an inherent, like strong, savory flavor, which I think the addition of the salt really just brings out all that natural funk from the coconut milk, but also just pairs perfectly with the sweetness of the dish, but it's not overly sweet, obviously. And the process of just coating it with the latik, I think was genius. When you think of the suman category of kakanin in the Philippines, of rice mixtures cooked in various types of leaves, this takes the cake as probably one of the most unique ones in terms of just being fully coated into that sauce, which for me, I love, because when it's, I mean, Filipinos in general, we like to kind of customize our food. And suman will come with muscovado sugar, brown sugar, white sugar, up to you to how sweet you want to make it. But I love how ballsy and confident this kakanin is, saying, let me sweeten it and let me be the one to actually put the flavor in it for you to have. So I can't really add more if I wanted more, which I think is really great. Texture-wise, so good. So this is the pounded version. When I arrived, I had kind of the whole grain version, and the rice variety itself just makes it really special. I think I was this close, I didn't tell Harold, I was this close of not coming on this trip, just because when I got home to the Philippines, I just had so much work. But then I really thought about it, and I was like, you know, I should really make the trip, because I feel like I'm lacking that gravity and being grounded. And I don't think people understand kind of the gratitude that you feel when you're in places like this, where everything feels so grounded. Natural woods, hardwood floors, which are really rare nowadays. Houses made out of wood, cooking on a hearth with people who are really passionate about ingredients. And that's why this story was very important for us, because it showcases that simple food can be absolutely beautiful as long as it's done with care and as long as the ingredients are grown and harvested with care. And that's kind of like what this community embodies, and that's really why it was so important for us to do this trip, because what they're creating here and what they're promoting should be the model for other barangays, other regions in the country, because that's how our food gets known, and that's how we start appreciating our own so much more. So yeah, happy I came. There's coffee. So obviously kakanin comes well with coffee. So they do grow a lot of Robusta here that they kind of trade amongst themselves and use it. There's one roastery, I think, not far from here, that already roasted coffee. Robusta is touted as probably the next trendy coffee bean. And when you have it here, it makes a lot of sense. It's just so good. You're burning off all the dirt and things.
Staircase.
Mango popcorn.
Irorus natin yung munggo, babayuhin para may aroma siya na lalabas. Oh, yun, 'di ba lumabas yung bango niya?
So you pound it to break it, or you
Yes.
pound it to make a
I will
a
pound
flour?
to the mortar.
The mortar. Yeah.
Yes. Sapot din.
Just to crack it. Just
Yes,
to break
yes.
it.
Yes.
It's like a split pea.
Okay. Yes. Oh, sapot. Ang silabnak.
Ma'am Lovely, ano po yung recados ng mga lulutuin mo?
Recados po ng tinolang native na manok dito is sili, papaya, at saka sibuyas, at saka yung roasted munggo. Yun po, tubig. Pag masipag kang mag-alaga ng mga manok, magtanim, madami. Kahit na may makukuha kang mailuluto sa tabi-tabi, hindi po gaya ng doon sa na puro pera.
Sa lahat po ng pagkain na ikalinga, ano po pinaka-paborito mo?
Ito, native na manok, at saka yung inansila. At saka yung patupat kanina. Suman. Okay.
Sa bagay nagluluto pa yan.
Sige nga mo. Dyan lang muna kayo.
A plate like this makes me so incredibly happy. Just to know the thought and the care that came in its preparation makes all the difference for me. And the Philippines is one of those countries, a lot of people come here and they always say they're looking for more vegetables and more green and stuff like this. And look how bountiful and nutritious this bowl looks. I'm used to, I guess, the regular version of tinola, which is basically sometimes seared chicken. Most of the time it's just boiled in water with some papaya, some fish sauce, some very simple ingredients, onions and garlic. And here, all of a sudden, it just takes a whole new dimension and a whole new life of its own. Let's try it out. I can already smell the layers of flavor and texture here. That is tasty. It's so clean. It tastes so incredibly healthy. The pigeon peas just act as a beautiful kind of like filler. You don't even need, technically for me, I wouldn't even need rice with this because the pigeon peas are just so filling in itself. The part for me that was really surprising was toasted and pounded mungo. I've never ever seen that, and that's something I'm gonna take home with me because I think it's just so smart in terms of adding a whole new dimension to a very simple kind of Filipino ingredient that we have everywhere. And obviously, all the best tinolas in the Philippines are always made better with native chicken. But the singeing of the feathers and the singeing of the skin also just gives it a smoky undertone and underlayer, which is quite nice. I think this sums up well what the idea of slow food is, which is basically looking at a dish from every perspective, from its ingredient to the community that harvests it, to the community that nurtures it, to the people that eventually cook it in the kitchens without any shortcuts, taking their time, understanding that little things like toasting mungo or singeing chicken make a huge difference in terms of the overall profile of the food. Because we want to do things quickly nowadays, because we want things that are convenient, and there's nothing wrong with that, we tend to kind of forget that these things make a huge difference in terms of how our food is perceived and how it tastes. So it's really important to, if you are doing those convenient things, that's totally fine, but just know how things should and could be made to really reach its true potential. That's interesting. So clean. It doesn't taste like anything. I love that. The livers are kept intact, like everything's in there. This is like bodybuilder food right here. So that was a good day one. Good intro to the community, good understanding of what's happening here, and really excited for what tomorrow's gonna bring.
The next morning, I met Rowena Gonnay, who told me more about the slow food movement in Pasil. Rowena and her husband, Lam-En, are members of the Slow Food International, a global organization promoting hyperlocal ingredients, heritage recipes, and traditional cooking. Unlike other slow food movements in larger areas like Negros, the one started by Rowena and Lam-En in Pasil has yet to gain momentum. Nonetheless, despite limited resources, support, and challenges, they believe in the power of the initiative and have been hard at work on it, visiting different barangays in Pasil to educate locals, especially the women, about their movement.
Do you know why? Because for me, this is very strange, because usually when I see villages in Kalinga,
Yeah.
usually they're like that. They're
Yes.
higher up in the mountains. This is the first
Yes.
time I see a village that's surrounded by
Yeah.
mountains.
Yes, this was because this is a stone.
Yeah.
So there is a little soil on top of this stone. So surrounded with river, and this is Pasil River, and this the brook, a big brook. That one is the fall during rainy season.
So there's a
the
waterfall
the
there.
waterfall there.
Oh,
So
amazing.
we are surrounded with
Wood water.
both water. So
Ah,
isolated
okay.
during there was a typhoon that we were isolated for a year.
Yeah.
Because we cannot pass through the what do
The
you call
road.
that? Yes, and
Oh,
also
really?
the bridge.
So
They were-
everyone here was stuck here
yes,
for a
they-
year.
Yes, they were all cut.
Wow. Okay.
So, but the people here survived because of even if we have a little land to, to
Grow your
produce,
food,
yes,
and then you're surrounded by water,
Yes.
so it's easy. Okay.
by landslide, by
Okay.
eroded road.
Yeah, I find it fascinating that someone would come here and be like, I'm gonna build a village here
Yeah.
just because of its location.
Yes. The main barangay is where our house is located in Puapu.
Next to the road.
That is the main barangay before.
Okay.
But the people move here to have the rice field to prepare rice field
To be closer to
to be closer to
land.
agricultural land. That's why they move here and build their houses here.
Okay.
So Dangtalan became the main barangay, and Puapu is the sitio now.
Yeah. Pasil
Was created was born in 1968,
as
separate from Lubuagan.
ah,
Yes.
okay.
Okay. They just plant different crops. During heavy wind, they put this one
Ah,
for the protection of this
I
house.
thought this was just collecting firewood.
Yes,
And
also for the protection of the house, so that
Okay.
if there is a heavy rain, this will be the protection.
And all the houses here, the living area is on the second floor.
Yes.
And then what's underneath
Inside.
here?
Rice, or maybe the big pots, or before we put the wine, the
That's
sugarcane wine
yeah.
below. Yes.
It's like a storage and
Yes.
granary.
Is one of our
Potters.
potter here. Her mother was a potter before, her Lola. So she is also a potter today. They are also teaching in the school if the school is inviting them.
So how do you
And-
make sure this is something that's passed down to the next generation?
Yes, yeah.
By teaching them.
Yes, they inherit it from their parents.
Okay.
And this is our livelihood during agriculture work.
Yeah.
After transplanting the work in the rice field, they will do this during summer time.
And is the younger generation interested in
Yes,
doing it
yes,
still also?
even her
Because that's what happens a lot in the Philippines. Parang
in
the
Pinasa.
second generation
Yeah,
doesn't
I
want to
know.
do it anymore, right? So it's
Here,
important.
they are also, our younger generation is also doing pottery.
Okay.
And they make other than pots. They can prepare a mug
Ah, okay.
or a
Yeah.
piggy bank or any. And after having this, they barter it to other barangays.
After meeting an artisan making earthenware and learning about how the art of pottery is kept alive by the women in Pasil, we continued immersing ourselves in the community. We headed to the next barangay to see more and meet more locals. Let's go. Blessed with vast lands suitable for farming, the Kalinga people have become some of the most extensive rice farmers of the Cordillera people. Farming on hillside rice terraces, the locals ensure they conserve their mountain forest biodiversity and care for the local watersheds, especially their river systems. They brought back heirloom grains that were once the norm and follow indigenous farming practices, relying on locally available resources instead of external inputs to improve production. This doesn't mean it makes the tasks easier.
So here, each plot is owned by a different
Different
family.
farmer, different
farmer.
family.
But they don't live here, or do they?
Yes, this is for two farmer living here.
Okay.
Yeah, they live
They live,
while
okay.
yes, while in working.
Okay.
During working, they stays here,
Ah,
and
but
after working, they go.
they go to the pueblo,
Yes.
to the poblacion.
Yes.
This terrain and this area provides some of the most extreme challenges when it comes to agriculture and farming. In turn, nature rewards these efforts with some of the most beautiful, aromatic, and nutritious heirloom grains. These varieties were planted by their ancestors generations ago and continue to yield bountiful harvests to this day.
Ah, okay.
The red one,
How do you tell the difference?
and it has some has no own, and some has big, longer own, like this
okay.
one. And they are usually planted during dry season, planted December, January, or February.
And how many rice varieties here, would you say?
We have maybe less than 10 varieties
Around
planted
here.
in this
Okay. Okay.
in this
10,
area.
that's still a lot.
Yes.
Yeah, they all point up. So before you'd say the introduced varieties, people switched to that because it was more
Yes.
efficient or
Yeah.
faster?
No, faster, and has more tillers.
Yeah.
But they did not know that it needs outside
Outside
inputs,
inputs, like
like
fertilizers.
yes,
and stuff like
artificial
that.
fertilizers.
Ah,
But if they continue to plant it, they realize that there's no production.
correct.
Yeah, so they
But cheaper
yes,
cheaper price also.
Yes,
Okay.
cheaper price also.
So now people are switching back to this,
Yes.
higher price,
Yes.
but harder to grow.
Yes, and also it survived harsh environment.
This one,
Yes,
Lechonak.
yes.
Okay. Nice.
Even if you see no water.
Ah, yeah, no water.
Yes.
And this
but,
is healthier for the soil also.
Yes.
Okay. I think what people don't necessarily realize is how pretty and organized this is. It's kind of like a Garden of Eden. Remember that in, what was it, Avengers, when the guy snapped his fingers and kind of was in the rice terraces? This is kind of what it looked like. And so you think these are kind of grown wildly, but they're grown with intent. Like, you look at this beautiful house. They have a beautiful manicured garden with different flower species that they have here. Tiny plots of rice. So if you've been to like Ifugao and places like that, you kind of larger areas grown with rice. And that's why they're able to kind of trade and export them. Here you can really tell they're small plots of rice planting with different varieties, different heirloom varieties, which is probably really sustainable and self-sustainable in terms of food security. Really interesting to see.
As an agricultural country with a diet that relies heavily on rice, the Philippines places great importance on wet rice farming. Wet rice cultivation entails tilling rice paddies for seed planting, sometimes with the help of a kalabaw or water buffalo.
Ang pangalan mo?
Cameron Bakidan.
Ang ganda.
Thank you, sir. Umpisa ng bata pa ako, mga 7, na sumasama ako sa mga magulang ko sa bukid.
So yung bigas food nyo dito, binibenta nyo o pang sarili sa bahay?
Mostly ginagamit sa bahay at magbebenta rin para ibili ng mga supply sa kusina, mga supply ng mga bata po, sir. Itong klase ng palay na ito na unoy, kahit magkulang yung tubig, resilient na tumubo pa rin. At may mahahapit na matibay na lumalaban pa rin sa init.
Dahil lahat natural.
Opo, sir. ang mga variety kasi yung
Anita kusunoy, unoy unju mochonoy, ay inatalidoman. Man anita kusunoy, unoy unju mochonoy, ay insalidoman. Mampotok, takus unoy, unju mochonoy, ay insalidoman. What on that? Si Chanog, Pakoy unju mochonoy, ay insalidoman.
While this farming tradition has fed generations of Filipino families, it is ironic that the Philippines has been a net importer of rice since the late 1800s. According to a 2024 report from the ASEAN Food Security Information System, the Philippines was the world's top rice importer in 2023. Yes, number one, importing about 3.8 million metric tons to supplement its domestic production of 13.4 million metric tons. This is obviously a complex issue that requires extensive discussion and research. Instead, we want to shine the light on the current efforts to preserve and promote Cordillera heirloom rice. Currently, Cordillera heirloom rice is under review for registration for geographical indication, or GI, which signifies qualities specific to a particular produce's geographical origin and nowhere else. If it all works out, the GI will solely recognize the Cordilleras as a source for particular heirloom rice grains specifically planted in the provinces of Kalinga, Benguet, Ifugao, and the Mountain Province. This would amount for a fairer price for the crops and the protection for the promotion of origin-linked products. I cannot stress enough how important it is to know where your ingredients come from.
Chumangasi, chumangasi, tayo anunoy, anon dyan natago. Chumangasi,
It was beautiful to watch our hosts prepare a feast with freshly foraged ingredients from scratch. And I have to admit, when we were finally invited to partake in the meal, my appetite was through the roof.
This is our native delicacies,
Yeah.
brought and cooked by our farmers here in Ginaang, Pasil.
Amazing.
And this is the authentic inanchila, the
Inanchila,
original
okay.
snack.
So
In
Inanchila
our
is
place.
just from Pasil? Or
Yeah, all over Kalinga, but the best taste.
the best tasting ones
Yes,
here?
is here in Pasil.
Okay, nice.
Yes, this is also a glutinous. We call it inatapaw. Just fried it.
Yeah.
Make just sugar and
So glutinous
salt,
rice,
yes.
like cake also.
But that one is has
The latik.
coconut latik.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then this one,
Inalagupa, another kind of
Inaglagupa.
native snack.
Okay.
They
Are you
wrap
white
it.
or tight? White.
That is also white variety of our glutinous variety rice.
With coconut milk also.
Yes, coconut. And
Okay. So closer to like a classic
yes,
suman.
suman.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very nice.
Yeah.
And sweet
Also,
potatoes.
sweet potato. This is pinasoy. We call it pinasoy, the glutinous rice with cassava.
Okay. So glutinous rice with pounded cassava.
Yes, and you put this as
coconut
ingredients
milk.
to taste it more delicious.
And it's
Yes.
hot.
Yes, it's hot.
And then I mix it? or-
Yes, you mix it and taste. Yeah.
This makes me so happy.
Yes. Tastes good?
Very good.
Yes.
And the coconut milk has
Yes.
some salt in it, a bit of sugar, which is quite nice.
Some farmers also mix the legume after the mungo, the white beans, like
And you
this
mix
one.
it in here.
Yes. And
Ah,
even the
sweet potato.
yes. Cameron is our spokesperson, slow food community
Okay.
in Ginaang, the spokesperson, and
Ah.
Chari, the president of the slow food
Slow food.
community.
Okay.
Our farmer leaders, Modesta,
Hello.
who is planting this one, who plant glutinous rice, and they all cook this one.
Contribute.
Individual, they contribute.
Ah,
And
so it's like
Mary,
a-
Abakan, everyone who came here, they have to cook.
Cook. So it's like a
to
potluck.
Yes.
Everyone
potluck.
brings one dish.
Yes.
Amazing. Thank you. Salamat.
Sa Uchum,
Salamat po.
Chari, and Chana. Mangan tao. Mangan tao.
Mangan tao.
Mangan tao.
That means
yes.
let's eat.
Oh. At 10 o'clock, the pinango, we call it pinango, the one
snack.
who harvest,
Okay.
they have the snack.
What's this one here?
Yes, another one, inalagupa, but kamoteng kahoy.
Inalagupa.
Yes.
Inalagupa. It's
Inalagupa.
so hard to remember all these names each time.
Inalagupa.
Ah, so same with cassava.
Yes,
Okay.
cassava.
Pero may gata also.
Yeah. Mangan.
Similar to the one we had in Basilan.
Ay,
The one we
sana
dipped in the bubok.
Chari, chana udin chujuk.
Good. Our producer's
Some
eating,
farmers
even though we
also,
haven't stopped shooting.
Mix.
Around 10, 11 a.m. This is when people kind of come after harvesting, which is quite a lengthy process, and you burn a lot of calories doing it. So you need that carbohydrate and that energy when you come back. So you have
Yes.
lots of different rice, lots of root vegetables, cassava, sweet potatoes, everything from here, right? And the last, which is sabat bananas and some
Corn,
corn
the
pudding.
native corn.
Native corn.
Yes. You say it manpia.
Manpia.
Manpia is delicious.
Manpia.
Manpia.
Good names.
Manpia.
And then back to me. And you really don't realize how, when you're up here, how distinct the culture is.
Masarap.
Like the
Mampia.
language
Mampia.
sounds completely different. You have a very hard time kind of understanding. Obviously, people here speak Tagalog and speak actually really good English most of the time as well. And you just kind of feel like it's a really distinct thing in the Philippines. They really have their own culture, and it's great that they're really fighting to keep it.
Yan tan nerfukan na mo. Excited
corn
ka
one.
kita.
Yes,
Kanado
try the
ka
corn.
sila.
Cheers.
I don't think you understand how special this is. Now I'm just so happy I came, and I'm just so excited. The star of the show here is the unoy rice, the red rice we've actually been eating everywhere here, both in this barangay and the barangay where we're sleeping. And it has such a slight nutty flavor. If you were to kind of bring it next to a white rice, which we did this morning, the flavor difference is very, very subtle, but the story, where it comes from, how it's made, how natural it is, I think is what really kind of sells me on the rice. And when you eat, especially in this environment, or when you see the process of how things are made, you start realizing that the work is not for the kilo of rice. The work is for the single grain of rice. And you start appreciating every single grain, because every single grain is meticulously pounded, it's sorted, it's cleaned out. And I find it hilarious how we've been growing this here for the longest time, lots of years, but then it was considered not as special or lowly because it wasn't as productive or efficient. So we came in with foreign grains, foreign inputs, realizing that we had to change the soil to better kind of suit those grains of rice. And what happened is the rice became so efficient, then that rice started going down in terms of price, and it wasn't as pricey anymore. And now the heirloom rice is now in demand. So this is kind of a more viable option in terms of livelihood. And it's just funny how that happens. And the moral of that story is just to make sure you appreciate what you have and to try to promote and eat as local as possible with all these things. I'm very lucky to be able to experience this, to be here, and I know not everyone can kind of have these experiences for sure, but you can definitely in your day-to-day make an effort to seek out and look for these ingredients that are abundantly grown in the Philippines. You just probably don't know about them much. The more you look for them, the more accessible they become, the more part of the solution you become, which I think is super cool. And this platter is just insane. Like when it came out, I was just so happy because it just, look at it. It's beautiful, it's bountiful, it's nutritious. There's so many vegetables in here. And it just showcases the local biodiversity. And I wish that every province or barangay would take care in kind of identifying the ingredients that they have and seeing how they can process those into dishes that when visitors come, you can really kind of claim and show as truly yours. And that's what makes cuisine so interesting, especially kind of provincial cuisine. Start with this, pigeon peas with some jackfruit, some langka. And the food here just relies on the beauty and the flavor of the ingredients. So here, I'm literally tasting pigeon peas and langka with a bit of salt cooked down in broth. Pumpkin, white beans with some spring onions. Oh my god. Garlic and onion there. See, and if you were to show like pumpkin and bean dish to anyone, they'd be like, yeah, we don't have that in the Philippines. Clearly we do. You associate white beans with more like South American cooking, European cooking.
Secret.
This is watercress and white beans. Watercress, again, one of those ingredients that you could associate more with Europe than here, but it's something that's eaten up in the north in the Cordilleras. Watercress has like an almost slightly bitter, slightly mustardy flavor, which brings such great kind of balance to the mushy and kind of like richness of the beans. Tomato salad, tiny, beautiful tomatoes. And what's cool, you walk around here too, like just right here, there's like a tomato patch right next to the rice patch. Wherever there's space, there's life. It kind of shows you how things are used and appreciated. Some ginger in there. Wow, that's ballsy. That's just tomatoes, spring onions, ginger. No vinegar, nothing. The sharpness all comes from the ginger. This is the picao. So those roots that grow next to the river with some smashed, I think, gabi. That is such richness to it. I think mostly because of the mashed gabi giving it kind of like a creamy texture. Look how pretty this is. Kind of reminds me of that Korean ginseng soup. So we have some native chicken cooked down with some roasted mungo. Oh my god. That's just like a warm hug. Flavorful, tasty. The native chicken, which is usually quite tough, nice and tender. If we ate like this every day, the whole country would be really, 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 really healthy. Pinakbet. So obviously very different from your Ilocano pinakbet. This is kind of like their own style of it. Beautiful. Vegetables are properly cooked. You can taste that the tomatoes were really cooked down for a while. Nice oiliness around the tomatoes. And I love that we finally found a province that just always serves chili with everything. I thought it was Bicol. I thought Bicol was the chili capital of the Philippines. Kalinga, coming in hot. I like it. And these chilies are so cool because they're literally right from here. There's some small round ones, there's some thin ones, and I'm sure they're different species and varieties. I'm not very good at that information or trying to get that. I'm sure they all have their own different characteristics. And it's just such a shame. When I go to the supermarket in Manila, all I found is chilies from Taiwan. Little things like that kind of frustrate me. Well, that's too much. Oh, that's a lot. Woo! I'm literally not hungry anymore because we just had a snack. And I didn't do any work. All I did was kind of hang around and watch people while they were pounding work and everything. And, you know, I think a lot of people, when they come to these places or they show these traditional methods, there's a tendency to romanticize it and saying, yeah, this is cultural, it's cool, it's traditional, and to make it look really pretty and stuff, because it is a very beautiful scene to watch. But at the end of the day, this is work, right? And it's not easy. It takes a lot of time. It's a whole year, right? So yes, we can romanticize this side of things, and it is beautiful and it is traditional, but we should also be really grateful that there are people like them that are still continuing this and that are clinging to that culture. And I really think that they're cultural bearers in that sense, that they're protecting that culture by keeping it going, because they don't have to. They could go modern in terms of their processes. They could change all of the heirloom stuff here, but they know that it would be harmful, not just for the tradition or the culture, but also for the soil and for nature. So it's, without having to romanticize it, I think we just have to be really grateful that there are people like them doing this kind of work and hanging on to it. And so our job is to appreciate it. And how do we do that? By seeking it out and consuming it. And I forgot to say, each of these dishes were prepared by one different lady who cooked it at their house and then brought it here. So I have a piece of all of their hearts and souls here. Super cool. Thank you.
Ano yan, auntie? Anong soup yan?
Niladlad. Longgoan na coconut.
Mongo and coconut.
Roasted coconut.
Ooh.
Masarap yan?
Oh, I'm very sorry. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Very delicious.
Thank you, auntie.
That is Cameron. Cameron.
Whoa. This is so unique.
Our soup.
Yeah, this is the first time I tried this kind of flavor anywhere in the Philippines.
We roast and put the
Coconut. So it's roasted mongo, which is very strong, very smoky. And then you have a non-sweet coconut milk that's cooked down with the mongo, with just a little bit of salt. And that's it, right?
Yeah.
Very clean. That is delicious. We found the first vegan soup in the Philippines, guys. This is it, right? There's no vegan soup in the Philippines.
Yeah.
It's delicious. And what Rowena was mentioning a while ago, this is a couple years back, before slow food was here. People weren't necessarily very proud of this. When visitors would come, they'd kind of be shy about this kind of food, thinking that people might not appreciate it. But ever since slow food, people have gotten confident in their cooking and their food. And now they showcase it, which is great. I love this. Right? It's almost like a barley milk tea without the tea.
Yeah.
Right?
Afterwards, I helped forage some pikao leaves, one of their local taro varieties, which grows along wet areas such as near waterfalls, springs, and rivers. These would most likely be used for dinner, but in reality, this was really just an excuse for me to visit this roaring waterfall not too far from where we were staying. After a nice, refreshing dip in the river, we were invited to Dangtalan, where our wonderful host treated us to slow-cooked traditional Pasil dishes. Our hearts and our spirits were so full, and personally, I couldn't be more grateful.
Everyone's moved on, but I haven't yet. I'm still here eating all this magnificent food. I think there's just one last thing I kind of want to say. I feel like, and I don't know if anyone watches these videos until the end, so maybe this is a message for people who do, but I feel like people should stop choosing to be ignorant. Stop boxing Filipino food into a box. Stop thinking the way your mom does something is the best way. Stop thinking that your province makes a certain dish the best more than anyone else. Because when you do that, the problem is you stop yourself from kind of exploring the rest of the country. And unless you've tried all the adobos in the Philippines, you don't know if the one you're eating is the best one. Like, personally, maybe you're emotionally attached to it. But we still are discovering what Filipino food is. So keep an open mind and don't pull each other down. It's all love. Food should be shared. Voila. Food for thought lang.
We are very grateful for the opportunity to tell the stories of the Filipino people.
Yeah. Hey Chess, what's your message to the end of this video?
Try nyo muna yung meron dito sa Pilipinas. Kasi for sure hindi nyo pa nasusubukan lahat. magugulat kayo, napakadami. Ano ba yung ano?
So sobrang dami ko natutunan sa buhay and sa pagluluto, and happy yung family ko na sobrang dami ko natutunan. So you guys should wag niyo i-deprive yung sarili niyo sa mga nakakain niyo lang ng basta-basta. Kailangan mag-isip din kayo and isipin niyo kung saan sila galing. I mean, pag naintindihan niyo kung saan sila galing, mas mamahalin niyo yung pagkain.
Kev, why did you disappear?
Umiiwas sana ako pero pero masaya dito, masaya.